Kim, we have 3 online.
Correct.
I'm counting us.
What's that?
4 counting us. Or-
4 counting us,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, folks, I have 6 o'clock. Why don't we stand and pledge allegiance to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. You are in person and virtually attending the November 9th meeting of the Town of Canandaigua Planning Board. Let me start out by introducing the folks at the dais. At the far right is John Rovatello, our recording secretary. Next is our person on the electronic devices, Kim Berker. Next to Kim is Amanda Van Laken, planning board member. And next is Bob LaCourse, planning board member. We're waiting the arrival of Gary Humes and Ryan Stachuk. Understand they're on their way. They're just running a little late. I'm Chuck Euler. I'm the chairman of the planning board. To my left is Shauna Bacek, who is the town planner. And the far end is Lance Brabant, representing the town engineer, MRB. Okay. Everyone is masked up, so we're all good that way. Okay, thank you. Thanks for coming out. Thanks, folks, for tuning in. And what we do in terms of our procedure here is most of you have participated in meetings before, but we will go through the agenda as listed. We will have the applicant for each application make a presentation. At the conclusion of the presentation, the planning board will ask questions or have any comments regarding the application. I will then go out to the public and ask the public to chime in on anything they have to say regarding the application. And upon that conclusion, it'll come back to the board. We'll deliberate, and if we feel comfortable, take action on the application. If someone would like to address the board, either in person or online, please give us your name, address, and if you're online, wave, jump up and down, make some sort of motion so you can be recognized. Emergency procedures. Should we have an emergency and have to leave the room, there's 2 exits to my left and right, so please note where they are. Hopefully we won't have to use them. This evening we have 1 public hearing, and I can attest that the public hearing was advertised in the Daily Messenger on November 2nd for the Venezia representing Geneco Sons application. So with that, we'll move to privilege of the floor. If anyone in the room or online would like to speak to the board regarding something that is not on the agenda this evening, now's the time to do so. And I see Sal is heading to the podium, so.
Speak to the board.
Sure.
Okay, my name is Sal Licciardello. I'm the attorney for the Canandaigua Shores project at 35 East Lake Road. This is a preliminary matter. You know, we were on the agenda. I believe the public hearing was continued. However, the time frame set by the town board to receive preliminary site plan approval was approaching, and the town board denied the request for an extension to that. So it's our understanding that the previous application was moved, will be withdrawn. So we listened to the town at the town board meeting and at subsequent meetings with the committee for the scenic view shed overlay, and we redesigned what we had for the project in the spirit of the view shed overlay district, and taking the board's comments, especially member Mr. LaCourse. And so just real quick, for if you guys don't remember, this is the plan that was the most recent one from the last meeting with the ranch style townhomes up top, 12 units. So what we have now is all single-family homes on lots greater than 1 acre. We have 8 lots that are approximately 1 acre and 2 lots that are approximately 2 acres. The bottom portion, phase 1, is essentially unchanged from the last application. I'll just have a couple just for visual aid, and I'll collect these when we're done since it's not a formal submission. But just for your viewing pleasure.
Thank you.
So the general consensus at the planning board was that, phase 1 was good with the loop road and that it had that community feel to it. So we went back to the drawing board with phase 2. And as you'll see, we were able to get 10 lots complying with the R120 underlying zoning requirements for the lot setbacks and lot width depth requirements. And then also complying with the more stringent scenic viewshed overlay district requirements, which we anticipate passing in the near future. So we wanted to incorporate that into this new design. And our hope is that we can proceed going with phase 2, just going with subdivision approval through the planning board, since we will not be taking advantage of the mixed use overlay district. And phase 1, subdividing all that the parcel, all that contains the phase 1 townhome development, and then go through the mixed use overlay district procedure for the phase 1 for the townhomes. So previously, this board made a favorable recommendation for the original project as required by the MUO code requirements. And, we respectfully request that this board issue an advisory report to the town board so that it may, go forward with the MUO petition without having to send it back to the planning board again, since this board already did review the larger application. This is essentially the same use, it's still housing, but it's been pared down substantially. So if anything, the impacts will be less than those perceived from the original project. So I just wanted to introduce this to the board so we could start the conversation earlier. We're going to submit plans tomorrow so that the PRC can review those and then get a complete application with this new concept into this board in the next week or so. And I would love to get any of your feedback on this. I know obviously you don't have to give feedback, but we're trying to incorporate the town's vision for properties within the viewshed overlay, and we really do think that this accomplishes the objectives of the overlay district.
Okay, thanks, Sal, for coming out. Lance, Dan?
Yeah, I just think, obviously, this is not on the agenda, not a formal application made to the board yet. Obviously, upon completion of an application submission, the town will review the application, make sure it's compliant with their procedures and processes. We'll have to take a look at seeker protocol and see how we can maneuver through that process, depending upon what your application looks like. And just the main reason why I want to say is be aware of the stormwater compliance requirements.
Mhm.
So based on your phasing, based on what you want to pursue first, if there's stormwater requirements associated with either or in the other phase, we have to look at that as a whole.
Right, and our intention would be that while reviewing this project, obviously the subdivision would be in front of this planning board, and then the preliminary site plan approval would also be in front of this planning board. And our hopes is that this board could, when reviewing issues like stormwater and really all the environmental impacts, that they would review it as a whole, as they'll be going on simultaneously. So.
I just wanted to point that out, and I apologize for.
Right, then just one more thing I just want to highlight, just for anyone listening at home who can't see the map. We left that natural buffer in between phase 1, phase 2, and then the roads coming in from County Road 18 for the single family portion in phase 2. So, we're hopeful that that will alleviate any concerns that the town of Hopewell had as far as traffic coming from townhomes, and will also significantly reduce the traffic impacts on State Route 364. As now it's just phase one that's going to be entering out into 364. I think we had 72 units, which was, we were originally at 116. So significantly less townhomes.
Okay, well, being that the only application before this board now is the current CPN 21035, and that is subject to a continuation of the public hearing to our next meeting, but I think you said that you're probably going to withdraw that application, or?
Correct.
Okay, so that will essentially go off the board, and then I guess we anticipate a new application in the future. Okay, very good. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Want these back? Sure.
Sure, and I could definitely leave a copy or two if you guys want to.
If you leave one for these.
I'll take one.
Thanks, Bill.
You're welcome.
Okay, anyone else privilege of the floor? Like to address the board? Okay, if not, let's move on to our agenda. We have a new public hearing for Venezia Associates representing Leo Janeco and Sons, owner of property yet to be determined on Canandaigua Farmington Town Line Road, and requesting a single stage subdivision approval to create 3 lots on Mobile Road. I will open the application, the hearing. Someone here want to speak on behalf of the applicant?
I'm here. Yeah, Rocco, can you hear me?
You gotta compete.
He's there.
Oh, he's there.
You got the Irish settlement plan up.
There we go.
Okay,
You guys can compete. Who's going to talk?
You can.
Rocco? I'd rather listen to you, sir.
Aw, thanks, Chuck.
Okay, Rocco, you got the floor.
okay, so you gotta excuse me, I thought we had approval of this, but evidently there was quite a few items that had to be addressed, and I believe I've addressed them. One thing that's kind of peculiar about this is that I keep getting the same comment letter. I make the corrections, I get the same letter back. So I'm not sure where we stand in terms of if we have to add something to the map, or if we're there, or maybe somebody on the staff is there that can. But what we're trying to do is add 2 more lots to the end of Mobile Road. We're showing a hammerhead that's temporary because this is going to connect to the new road that's going to be built in the future. So that's where we stand right now.
Somebody, do you want to bring something while we're here?
I'm gonna let Lance do that.
So I might need some correction in case I am wrong, but my understanding is that the approval expired. Is that correct, Shauna?
Yeah, I will go through the procedural if you want to go through the comments
Sure.
that you had, that's why we're back here.
So Rocco, the one question that we need to have addressed on the plans, and I can speak to you offline after the meeting, assume everything moves forward, is that as part of the original approval of this board, just remember, there was 2 lots being proposed along Mobile Road.
Yep.
As part of that, there's an extension of Mobile Road that's required to service those 2 lots. In doing so, we need to bring that road up to fire code, meaning it's got to terminate with a hammerhead. That was all being shown before, that was all provided. We needed the easement to be extended over that road to provide legal access to those new lots. That has also been provided. As part of that, they've been working, the applicant and Rocco have been working with the town, and we have an additional project that's going on between Farmington and Canandaigua called the Brickyard Road Water Tank Project. There's an easement that runs through the Janeco property going all the way down south into Brickyard Road area, which is a water main for the water main purposes. It's wide enough to accommodate a future road. So with that being said, one of the requirements that the town had as part of this application was to make Mobile Road, in case in the future it was ever to be dedicated, to put a 60-foot wide road right away over that private drive and have it extend all the way from 332 out to our filed easement of 60 foot that runs through the Janeco property. Through the revisions at different times, that has changed. And so that's the one item that I know is missing from this one. It's shown, but it doesn't go all the way and connect to that easement, and it needs to. There can't be a gap between that future 60-foot wide over Mobile Road and our 60-foot wide that runs through the Janeco property. I need those two to touch, Rocco. So that way we don't have to go back to the applicant later on and get an easement from them to acquire that.
Okay,
So I think everything that you have shown would be sufficient, assuming that you can draw the 60-foot wide right away, extending all the way to our 60-foot wide access road that runs through Geneva property.
not a problem.
Is that diagonal?
Yeah, it's the one that cuts from north to south, running all the way through the property. Right now, I believe as shown, there's a gap between the proposed and our existing, and that would just lead to us to have to go back in the future to get that secured, and I'd rather it be secured now.
So this application is essentially the same as the approved application. And it's still subject to the conditions from the original application that you had just referred to. It hadn't been met. Okay,
And we could not have the plans, time lapsed, the approval time lapsed because the plans were not signed, because they could not be signed because of these outstanding issues.
yeah, the
So-
original approval was last November.
Right, they did have one
And they got
extension,
two extensions.
two extensions, and at that point,
Hmm.
the plans were not changed in time to get another extension,
And
so
we try to refrain from three.
we do,
extensions.
absolutely, so.
So it's a new
minor-
application, but it's essentially the same as the one we approved last November. But it's still subject to the conditions that you imposed at that time. So I think it's just a matter of the applicant getting the conditions met and the plans appropriate
Yes,
Correct.
under the new. application.
it's like straightforward, simple, you get this done.
Another thing I just, the ZBA approved it on November 17th.
Yeah, they had four variants.
Oh, the expiration's on that. So I guess I don't want the ZBA to expire, right? I mean, we can take what action we need to take tonight, but I guess the applicant's got to make sure that they get all this done before 17th of.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, the variances are
Forewarned.
good for 1 year.
Forewarned, okay. Board members, do you have any questions on this? I think most of us were around when this applies the first time.
Right, yep.
Okay,
Nothing.
anyone in the audience like to speak? No, Ryan, would you like to speak?
We're all coming in late.
Let the record show it, Ryan. St. Jack arrived at 6:15, 6:16.
I think Gary Eames.
Welcome.
I just got here a few minutes.
Oh, and Gary got here at 6:13.
Yeah, John got him. Yeah.
Ryan, we're talking about the mobile road redo. Have any concerns about it at all? It's essentially the
Same
same
thing.
plan we saw last year. And we just have to make a few additions as requested by Lance, and if they can make those and get it in, get it signed, well,
Right, yeah, there's been no it's not a different plan than what was before this board before. They've been working to address the conditions of approval, and as part of that process, time has lapsed, which has required them to come back to this board to get a reapproval, essentially the same project. The one item that I referenced that was missing was we required a 60-foot right of way over Mulver Road for future use. And currently it's shown, but it doesn't show to connect to our existing easement. So we don't want to have a gap in there. So I've asked Rocco to revise the plans to show that 60-foot wide going over Mulver Road all the way to our filed easement that runs through north to south from Geneva property. That way there's no gap, no need to go back and get an easement in the future.
No, I don't have it. I mean, if it's,
Same thing.
it's, it's the same thing. Yeah, I think our major concerns were New York State Thruway, entering,
Yep,
those issues. And so,
fire code, which they're addressing.
no, I'm good with it,
did or will Rocco provide the easements for the water and sewer?
Yes, the plans show the easements required for that being extended as part of the application.
Okay, because that was another condition, I think, of the approval. Okay, let's move on then. We're ready to take care of seeker. It's a unlisted action. I note in the part one of the submission, nothing was filled out.
Yes, there's another one in there, in the application file that's dated September 18th, 2020.
It's the one that you gave it to.
That's filled out completely and signed by Venenzi Associates.
And you completed part 2 and part 3.
Yes, it's essentially the same part 2, part 3 that was previously completed by this board, just redated.
All right, I'll entertain a motion for the seeker. If someone wants to do so.
I'll make the motion to approve the seeker and listed action for CPN. And this is 20051 on Noble Road.
Have a motion, have a second.
Bob, second.
Bob seconds it. So I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, we'll move on.
This was this is the old CPN number. This is a new application. Does it have to be a new number or not? I was just asking that question.
So maybe I misinterpreted. I just
I don't know.
assumed the town was going to allow them to keep the same CPA
Yeah.
number as a.
Whether we do it?
We were fine. It was easier to keep it.
Okay,
I don't
I just
think
wanted to
that-
make sure.
But I'm treating it as a new one because essentially the time has lapsed on the old one,
Yeah.
therefore we technically would have to
Okay.
redo secret. Since like we
Redo seeker, redo the site plan, subdivision. Is that clear? Yeah?
Yep, I just want to make sure we
All right.
administratively.
Motion and second on the seeker. It's an unlisted action. All in favor?
Right,
Opposed? Okay, we'll move on to the subdivision.
all right, this is Gary. I'll make a motion to approve a single stage subdivision plan for Venezia Associates representing Leo Janeco and Sons, CPN 20-051 with 5 conditions as stated in the resolution.
Second.
Any further concerns or conditions need to be added? I think these are essentially the same thing.
Yeah, some of them weren't
We're just,
Some were met.
necessary anymore, so they're met, so I struck those out. The one new one is number
Number
5.
5, that's the one
And
we're
that's the
talking
one that
about.
I referenced to Rocco earlier about extending the 64 right away from 332 over Mobile Road all the way to the file easement that runs north to south on Geneco property.
The part fee for the 2 lots, 2 new lots, when building permits are drawn.
Correct.
And the applicant's okay with that?
I believe so. It was essentially a condition the last time. I just rephrased it.
Okay.
I apologize. we haven't. That.
Okay, so I got a motion from Gary. Did I get a second?
Yeah.
Ryan?
Ryan,
Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. You're good. Thanks, Rocco. You're sticking around for the next one, which is,
Have a good night, everyone. Thank you.
That's
John, once again, you heard me close the hearing. We have a new site plan from Venezia Associates representing Caitlin Schwartz on our property at 5287 Irish Settlement, seeking a single stage site plan approval for the construction of a new single family dwelling. And Rocco, what are you doing out there?
Gross.
Do you freeze up?
Yeah.
It's the quietest I've ever heard.
Smooth.
There you go, you're moving. Slowly. Wi-Fi.
where does he zoom in from?
I think, let's see, are you in the bunker?
He's on the lake.
Rocco, can you hear us? We can't hear you. Weak.
Frozen.
Go get Patty to help you.
Can you hear
Are the Lundquists the owners of the property?
No.
No,
Wednesday.
okay, I was thinking maybe they could carry the ball. Is there anyone else who'd like to make a presentation on this application? Can we discuss it among ourselves a little bit?
Questions about it?
Excuse
Are you
me?
there?
Oh, there we go.
Hey,
Yes. Might have to try the phone, Rocco. I'm sorry, sir, what'd you say?
I have some questions about that.
Oh, okay.
Let's see if we can get Rocco. Having internet challenges.
Can we chime in here while he's getting reconnected? This is Bob and Barb Lindquist.
Yeah, we can hear you folks fine.
Okay.
Okay,
What do you know? We sent Rocco over.
it looks like he's kind of frozen up there, I think.
Yeah, he
we're-
lost his connection.
We're at 5283 Irish Settlement. We're at the house that's at the very end of the road there. And our only, we're fine having a new neighbor here. That's fine. Our only concern is with how to split the maintenance on the driveway. After we built 4 years ago, the driveway got torn up really bad. So we spent a lot of money, and we promised the Pappases, our next door neighbors, that we would fix that, and we did. So the driveway is actually in the best shape it's been since Pat McCabe and I put that together 20 years ago. So we just wanted to make sure that whoever was moving in there was going to make sure that we're assuming that they're using the same shared driveway. Just wanted to make sure that they were going to be handling their part of that. We haven't been contacted by the folks that are proposed builders there. So that was our only concerns. We just wanted to drop that in.
Do you have a formal agreement for the maintenance of the driveway among the property owners that use it?
Yes, there actually is. When Pat McCabe subdivided this, so many years ago, there is something that's attached. I know we had to look for it for our abstract, but it's actually attached to the to some document that we actually had to dig for it and found it when we built this place, but I can't remember exactly where that is. But there is a document that is attached to the deeds of these three properties.
Okay, I think we have another neighbor here.
I own the driveway.
You own the driveway?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Sir, would you come to the podium and give us your name and address? And
Hi, Bob. Hi, Barb.
Hi, Andy.
Hi, Andy.
I own Pat McCabe's old
and you
cabin.
are, sir,
I'm Andrew Pappas, 5285 Irish Settlement. I live in the cabin that Patrick built, and Bob's my neighbor now. And there is the day of closing, my lawyer called me up and said, "Oh, there's an addendum. That driveway you have to share it with Lot A and Lot C. Lot C being the Schwartz's property, and there is an addendum to it that we're supposed to share 1/3 the cost of each of the driveway maintenance." And Bob owned the property for a while, but when he built the house, then he took over and took up his share of the maintenance. He's done a very nice job, by the way, Bob. And so I haven't asked the Schwartz for any maintenance at this time because they haven't started using it. But that is part of the deed, and it says you can't park, you can't go fast on it. Patrick put a lot of conditions into there when he made the subdivision. And so, we have to, even as far as snow plowing, we have to pay 1/3 each for snow plow. But Bob and I have split it because the Schwartzes aren't there yet. So I have some concerns about the property and the map that the
well,
so should I address those now?
first of all, regarding the access, certainly, the board is concerned about the access, but that is an existing lot.
Yes,
This application is for the construction of a home on that lot.
yes.
We would hope, and since the Irish Settlement Road or lane or whatever is private, whatever responsibilities and as far as maintenance exist, it's not something we control.
I understand.
And other than they ask, what is the agreement for our own edification? So, yeah, if you have any other concerns, you have the floor, so why don't you have at it, Andy?
Okay. When they put this application in years ago, about several years ago, one of the board members noticed the nice trees between lot B, which is mine, and lot C, which is theirs. Yeah, they're shown there, and they said that they should conserve the trees if possible. I'd like one of you board members to say, yeah, let's keep those trees, because that's our visual screen between us and them. Okay, so that's one thing that my request is. Also, I obtained a copy of this through the Freedom of Information Act, and unless it's been redone since October 18th, there's some glaring errors on that map. The chart, I believe, is from their first application, and the map itself has been changed since then, and so the numbers don't match.
So when you say first application, you
Well,
mean
they put an application for this, a
for
similar
the
structure.
subdivision or for
No,
the?
for the similar structure a couple of years back,
Oh, okay.
and it ran out of time, and they have to reapply.
Yeah, I do.
The structure is different, and they changed some numbers on it. May I point to that map?
Okay, what they change?
Up on the chart, it says setback, front setback, 115, does it still say that, 115?
No,
What's it say up on the chart for front setback?
160,
Excuse me?
160.5 feet.
Oh, then that's been changed since October when I got the map myself, because the 160 is much further down. Did they change the side setback numbers? What do they reflect now?
47.4 and 48.2.
All right, those are
Correct.
because does the scale of the map represent 160 feet from the frontage to the structure? Did they actually change the picture?
Yeah, the front setback is 160.5, yeah. We,
But if
that-
you take the scale of the map, that house isn't there, 160 feet is longer than that. Because I have the old map, and they put the structure in the same place, change the front setback without changing the side setbacks actually.
Well, again,
And if the map is accurate,
Hello?
Andy, our obligation is the minimum setbacks. Now, if they move it, as long as it's within the minimum, that's.
Hello? I don't know. I can't get it.
In fact, it's 160 feet.
Is it?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't have a
Lance is gonna
60
skip.
scale. I
Our
have a-
60, my 60 scale is upstairs.
Well,
so
just,
I
we'll
can
do
roll
it.
it.
Do a 10 scale and
I guess we can.
full engineers.
I don't know.
You back with us, Rocco?
No, I'm not here.
All right, hang on a second. I'll call on you.
That's right.
Hello?
That's right.
Did they adjust the
Yeah,
map?
it's adjusted.
Those are
yeah.
both my main things.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I wanted to put a question. How far is their septic from my well? My well is shown on that map. I didn't
Your
see it.
septic, I'm sorry, your septic to where?
From my well to their septic.
Your well. I see your septic. Where's
No.
your well? Oh, here.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, that's the leach field. Is there a septic up there?
no, the septic is way in the back.
They have a
Oh, here,
distribution box.
here's a distribution box. Here's the leach field.
This is
It's the
actually-
proper distance away. It's gotta be X number of feet of number away from the well. and it is.
You're good.
That answers my, because on October 18th, when I got a copy of that, the chart of the top didn't match the map itself.
Sorry.
Okay.
Okay,
That
And,
answers my questions.
yeah, make sure you and your neighbor keep track of the easement as far as
Yeah, it's.
getting the Schwartz's to.
Oh, yeah.
The good news is it'll be a 1/3 instead of 1/2.
Yes.
More truck.
One other thing, it says a single story structure. Does it have a walkout basement? It's on a slope.
Okay.
We've got new elevations.
You got new elevators or
Yeah.
the original didn't show one?
Yeah, we asked for more details. I was just looking at it.
All right, well, she's looking for that. Board members,
Yeah. it's
You wanna let
walk-
Rocco,
walk-
well,
actually present our.
Walkout
presentation?
basement.
So
Rocco,
let-
do you want to, excuse me, Rocco, do you want to get back to your original presentation, please?
Oh, geez, no.
He was there.
Rocco,
So.
I did.
okay, we'll go back to the board. Board, you got any questions, concerns on this?
My concerns are the front of the parcel, how it follows Irish settlement.
Right, that little piece.
Is that? It just seemed odd to me. That was there, but. Roof leaders, are they gonna, as long as it appears that that slope to the back
It is.
goes down, so I would assume that all that runoff is gonna go to the back.
I was out there yesterday. It's
pretty steep, right?
Yeah, it's got a
That's
slope
1 foot
and
contours.
it was pretty wet. I mean, I think everything is, but.
Can I ask a quick
So,
question? Go ahead. I'm sorry, sir.
I was gonna say, so you, to Ryan's thing, so that little section along Irish settlement there out to, I guess that says right all the way out to Seneca Point, is that what it is?
Yeah, it goes up to.
So they gotta they'll maintain that, mow it, whatever they're gonna do, I guess, right?
Yeah, that'd be part of the property.
Yeah, it's part of their property, so I don't know if they're gonna mow that, or if it's just gonna
Is
be
that just-
natural, or
Is
what?
that, what is it right now, to the south of the
All right.
driveway?
May I walk to the map and point you
Sure.
for you? Okay. Right now, it's driveway on the center here.
Yep.
No idea, it's not working. And I mow one mow on either side of it because I actually own the road itself, about 30 feet. But Mr. Lindquist owns 60 feet here, he keeps it well mowed. And then I own 30, and Mr. Schwartz, sorry,
Yeah.
did I touch it?
Yeah, you can't touch it, yeah.
All right. Mr. Schwartz owns 30 here,
Yep.
which is now just weeds. He hasn't maintained it at all. And you can see because when Mr. K made the subdivision, he needed 30 feet frontage, and his property is only like
Yep.
inches wide right here
Mhm.
to maintain the frontage, but he can never use this for much except just to mow it and have it there. And my concern was the height requirement. It says, this number here, does that represent the square footage of the basement? And is the basement under living situation? This is a one-story house, but is a living basement? I don't know.
You find the elevation, the rendering or whatever.
Oh, yeah, the rendering is, yeah, there's a basement.
Also, the maximum height, would that be from the walkout basement or would it be from
No,
the
it's
front of
from
the
the-
house?
It's from the ground level.
East
whatever it is.
side,
The ground level is quite sloped, so.
the
with
east
ground level-
elevation is the walkout here, if you want.
So there's a walkout.
Bob, do you have any questions I can ask while I'm here?
No, I think you covered it very well, Andy. Thank you.
Plus the silt fence is gonna be right up against our property line.
Oh, I see. That's
That's
an
typical.
elevation
That's typical.
Yes.
Yep,
that's-
yeah, we don't.
there. I don't think I ever.
Okay,
There's that. Yeah, that's. what's gonna be a walkout.
my only concern was why the leach field was so far away from
I
the
thought the
house.
height was always in the ground.
Yes, that's what they heard.
Learned this one day. It's like.
All the way down to
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's one story. It's not like- it's not gonna be 20 square.
I tried to phone and give me a call on my phone.
I was eavesdropping.
Okay.
I messaged you here
I
and
saw it
asked,
too.
yeah.
I can call them, but
I'm okay.
I'm
with it.
reluctant to do that. without Permission.
I can see it's not mold, but
Would one board member do me a favor of asking him to conserve the trees for site screening?
Sure.
I believe in the plans, if I remember, it says those trees are gonna be maintained. And not gonna be, didn't it say in the
The
plans?
pines,
In the plans, it says the trees both on the north and south side, we're not gonna be,
Yeah, they show them right there.
Okay.
on the
I mean,
plan.
they're showing it, yeah.
yeah.
Show
They
them.
both say,
To
pine
retain.
trees to remain.
to remain.
Hey, Rocco.
Rocco, I'm hearing you.
He's talking to,
No.
Oh.
talking to Lance.
You're talking to Lance over there. All right, yeah, so the plans already indicate that they're gonna remain. They're not gonna take those down.
I think you responded to my questions quite well.
Thank you,
guys.
very good.
Board, I do have Rocco on the phone if you guys are okay to
Yep.
that option. All right, Rocco, the floor is yours.
I'm sorry, everybody. I just got so frustrated. I don't know what to do, and I didn't have anybody to call. So Lance is rescuing me. So
Good job, Lance.
Let the recording show that.
So folks, this is kind of a little bit of a redesign. I think you've seen it before. The house sits up front. We got a stabilized construction entrance at the house site. It's a shared driveway. I know there's been some talk going on about that. That's been a few years. And then the septic system is in the rear way back. That's where we got, decent area to put it in terms of soil. So, pretty much that's what's going on.
Pretty straightforward.
So Rocco, this is Gary, just for the record, the plans show that the trees that are on the, I guess that's the north side and the south side are gonna remain, those pine trees are gonna remain?
We planted for privacy on purpose a few years back, so. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Max height. Rocco, what's your max height of the building?
I'm not sure exactly what it is. I don't have the elevations in front of me, but I know it's under 35 feet, and it should say up there in the block attributes. It should
Yeah,
have it
it's
on there.
under-
I don't know if it does or
Hold
not.
on.
I think-
Yeah, it
one
says-
second.
It's
It
35.
just said 35.
Less than 35.
This is okay, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
It's,
Oh, I didn't see
I
this.
think it's a single story structure now, so it's not gonna,
Right. It's
Gotta
it's
get on the
reflected on the plans, Rocco.
Yep.
okay.
So I thought-
How about Chris Jensen had an email he sent out on the 19th of October. You want to read that into the record? Is it defined?
Yeah, we're in the findings. Perk test.
Yeah, it had to do with the pool for fire.
Yeah, right.
And road
Driveway
size.
is over 500 feet long, provide fire apparatus turnarounds.
So what Chris is stating is that because the existing driveway goes over 500 feet, fire code states that we're obligated to put a pole over of adequate size along that driveway to allow fire vehicles and apparatus, emergency vehicles to have a pole over a turnaround around about halfway up that driveway.
When you say
It's
the,
not an issue.
when you say the driveway, you're talking about Irish
The
settlement
existing,
or what?
yes, the existing driveway, the long driveway. That long driveway extends beyond the required limit.
Right. The only thing we have to do on it is make sure we have permission from the other owners, but we certainly would bear the expense,
So what would happen is this board would ultimately require that as part of a condition of approval contingent on the authorization between you and the landowner.
Okay, yeah. But we don't have to get that.
So I guess I'll call it the turn-ins or the little driveways going into the houses don't constitute the
It does,
turnaround.
but it's too far. It's
Still too
beyond,
far.
it's beyond that limit.
So it's
So
over
there's
500
100
between
To give you a
houses.
perspective, that house that's
Yep.
being proposed to the red line in front of it is 160 feet.
Okay, so that's
So
good.
anything over 500 feet, we need a turnaround. So that's probably where the S is on the road.
Not a turn around, a turn out,
A
right?
turnout, yeah, or a pull over, one of the two. You can,
I think we can manage that.
Just a second.
Can put it around. the
Okay, well
fork,
then,
like,
you
around the
need the
corner.
agreement of the two other parties.
We do.
Well, they're
There's
here.
room
They're
on,
here.
there's room on the arch right there in the Swartz's property. Right on the radius, on the Swartz's property.
Oh, in the corner.
Can I point out something?
Okay, and yes,
On
Rocco, I'm
my
sorry,
map,
Andy, one second, Andy. Rocco, the owner is here. He's going to point out a couple of things. You won't be to see it, but we'll try to reflect it.
okay.
the neighbor.
Mr. Lindquist's driveway continued straight from here over to his home in Lot A. Right here, as you go around this corner, there is an area that is designated, it's all crosshatch on my owner's map, and I'm not allowed to park on it, I'm not allowed to do anything to it. It was gravel, I put some grass down on it, we haven't blocked it. This was
designated right here as a turnaround area for vehicles. And they use it when they bring the propane in, the guys back onto the grass. Now, it used to be pure gravel, but it's right in here. If you pull my map up, you'd see that pretty quickly. That it is not out here, but if you go around this corner right there is a turnaround that could be used.
Sure.
It has been used in the past.
He's, Rocco, I mean, apologies, he's just
I don't
saying
see
at the
it.
end of the driveway, basically where it dead ends now, there's like a gravel area that.
I understand that, and I always knew it was there, but when we went back this time, it was gone, so we're like, whoa.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't see it.
but regardless, I want to point out to the board and to the gentleman that just spoke, that's beyond that 500-foot limit. So that even though it's there, that's great, but we still need something
Closer.
Then-
closer.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with it, Lance.
No, I know, Rocco, we know, we understand that. We heard
Probably
you.
the appropriate location be right on the bend there on the
Yeah, that's
Schwartz
Schwartz's property.
property.
I don't want to put it on a bed, I want to put it on a straightaway, because a bed doesn't work.
So yeah, it's basically 250 feet. So wherever 250 feet is, that's where you're gonna have to put a pole.
That could be good.
On the Schwartz side.
On the Schwartz side, yeah.
Yeah, what the board is suggesting is that it get placed on the short side of
It's
the.
their,
of
it's
the
their
driveway.
application, that's. what-
Okay.
Their property.
That was it for Chris? I knew I had to do this. Okay.
All right,
That was quite a-
so that'll be a new condition.
Yeah.
The driveway surface, Rocco, is going to be from the private drive to the house. It's going- Okay,
I haven't talked to the owners about probably paving it at some point.
I don't think it needs to be. does it?
okay. As far as referrals, Lance, is there anything else that you had concerns about in your letter? With the second?
No, most of our concerns was one, just confirming that we have legal access to the site, which they have a file easement and we're working through now with fire code and everything, those are the comments. And then it was getting details and information on the septic system.
We were not required to send it to the county planning board, so we get no response from them. Where do you stand with DOH and Tyler on the septic system?
We got an okay on that, but I have to double check.
All right, a condition is that the system be approved prior to C of O or building permit.
Prior to C of O.
C of O,
which is
right, right.
typically what we've been
Yeah.
doing before.
All right, anything else, board? Yes, Andy, one more time.
One of the questions on the building permit, I'm gonna stand up so loud and say, one of the questions for this building permit was distance to agricultural type something. I believe the Hicks Farm was put in the land trust that always has to be agricultural. I was wondering how many feet from the Hicks Farm his structure is gonna be. There is a property between him and the Hicks Farm. It belongs to Harview, but still, I don't know how that would affect the structure at all.
I don't think it would.
There's something about, is it within 500 feet of an agricultural district?
No,
No.
no, it's just, I think it's just for
Information.
information as far as what the distance is. All right, I think we're ready to move unless anybody else has any other questions. We're going to action. So I will willingly take a bundle motion for both the seeker and the.
This is Bob. I'll make that motion for a bundle of seeker resolution type 2 action, Venetia Associates representing Kirsten and Caitlin Schwartz at 5287 Irish Settlement at CPN 21-085. For seeker, and on their site plan approval resolution was 7. Is that
So
right, Lance?
Yeah, I apologize, Bob. There's a couple corrections. One is, there's a whereas that needs to be struck, that references variances. I need to strike that out. That was a carryover from a previous app. 2, the 6 conditions as written does capture Chris Jensen's comments. So One additional add-on is the park and rec fee, which I forgot to add in, so that would be 7.
Yep.
8 would be, I also, I did not add in the watershed inspection of the sewers, the septic system. Don't know how I didn't add it in there, but I made notes, so that would be 8. And then if you specifically wanted me to highlight the pullover, as discussed tonight,
Yeah.
that would be 9.
9, so 9 conditions.
You need 5. It's on well and it's on septic.
No, I don't believe so.
And he didn't, Fletcher didn't.
It is
We
on,
can get rid of Fletcher's I had a condition in there about water and sewer authority.
yeah,
Again, I think that was a
Mhm.
carryover.
this is on septic?
It's on
No.
Yeah,
septic.
it's got proposed septic system and proposed well. No water supply, no sewer.
Yeah.
supply.
Oh, I see. what you're
So
saying.
we need Tyler's approval.
Yeah,
It's
right,
not
okay.
on the town road. So really, Jim doesn't have any reviews.
So we're back to 8.
We're back to 8.
Back to 8 conditions.
Okay, so we've got a motion, bundle motion, and 8 conditions to approve the single state site plan approval. For the Schwartzes, any further discussion? Oh,
Yeah, Bob and then.
I'll second it. Gary.
Bob made a motion, Gary made a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you, Rocco.
Yeah, goodness.
You're certainly welcome.
Yes, thank you, Russ.
Good night. All righty.
That was very nice of you, Lance.
Yeah.
What you used to.
Oh, that was very nice. That was just good. It's like, what did they do?
Thank you,
Thank
Amy.
you.
Very nice.
Hmm.
That was just for a long time.
All righty. Can I have a full motion on the minutes for the October 26th?
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Nice job, John. All in favor?
Aye.
I have to abstain, so I wasn't here, so.
Okay, one abstention from Bob.
Oh, good.
This is dead on the right.
Okay, folks. The scenic viewshed overlay
Yeah.
district.
Did everybody read that?
Yes.
Right there?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't
Yep.
like it.
All right, well, that's what I was gonna say. Tell me what you
We
think
need
of it.
some comments.
Yeah, my property's on it.
Is it really? So is mine.
Johnson Road?
So is mine.
Yeah.
Well, it's a
I'm not
very
gonna ever
dramatic
subdivide mine.
proposal. You could all read.
Mhm.
It would essentially make anything in that purple area
Yeah,
subject to a minimum 1 acre lots. And would more or less preclude conservation subdivisions, the way I'm reading it.
No, well, as long as the conservation subdivisions were split into 1 acre.
Oh,
lots.
it's good,
I mean,
yeah.
You know, so they
Yeah,
can
if they're
still
1
do it.
acre lots in the conservation subdivision.
Yeah.
the shores is in that
That's a lot
property.
of land.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
Exactly. So they'd have to make those 1 acre lots, not 850 feet or whatever the hell they are.
And as I
It couldn't,
read
and they
it,
couldn't put multiple,
Oh, you missed.
more than
you were
single
not-
family
you were not
dwellings,
here
can't be
for
multiple
George's
family dwellings.
presentation.
No, they weren't.
Oh, you
right,
missed.
they
Oh,
missed.
mine is
Ken.
very
You
much
missed,
so.
they
Yeah.
came in.
That's
from
dead on.
before.
Yeah.
But as I read the,
Not, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah,
Not not official.
Not
This is
Yes.
unofficial, but they brought this in.
Privy to the
Or
floor.
apply tomorrow. it wouldn't affect them.
Sorry to hear that.
No,
Absolutely
no.
not. Right, it doesn't go through
Hmm.
till. next
Yeah.
month.
Put this together.
So,
Interesting.
what do you think, folks?
Kinda
You
what I
think
was
it's
recommending.
too dramatic?
Wow.
Is it, do you think it's the direction the town should be going and trying to limit the density along the lakefront with the? Go ahead.
Do you know I guess I'm trying to understand how this map and these parcels try to capture what was discussed in the open space scenic views master plan of 2018, because it references that,
Mhm.
or I think that we've referenced that.
We referenced the map
It-
specifically.
No, yeah, but no, it says from mapping completed as part of the town. The SVO district is an area mapped south of 5 and 20 and identified as land visible from Canandaigua Lake.
Right,
June 2018 from mapping completed from that plan.
Which is that
and
map.
I brought it up to Eric's attention that some of that land you can't see the lake on.
Right, yeah, and I
Yeah.
think that's with
There's
vegetation
a
and
lot of
stuff.
that land you can't see the lake on, and then he was supposed to revise,
But they never did.
never.
No,
did.
they never did.
No, 'cause I
So-
can't see the lake.
I mean, this is
And I
basically,
think-
this is a GIS map that was developed,
Yeah.
with,
overlays
and just, they just
On
used the
top of
viewshed
that,
tool, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
And so it was
20 feet
just
of
based
road.
on topography, it wasn't
Right.
based on vegetation, but, I'm trying to. In that plan, there was scenic views were not only from the lake. Like they took pictures of scenic views on County Road 32, on agricultural fields, like there was areas that were over here that were scenic views also. So I guess my comment is it doesn't capture, I guess, the intent of what we were talking about, but maybe I could be wrong, you know what I mean? I'm wrong a lot. I feel like this is, I feel like it's dead on arrival. I do. Does anyone else feel that way? Like you look at it and it's just like, oh, this is never gonna happen. Like you mean to tell me that all this this rural RLD is gonna be, they're gonna stand up for that? Like, I feel like we're
Well,
even
they're
wasting
gonna
our
all
time.
get pre-existing now anyways.
That's
So
And then
okay.
they can't
They-
further.
yeah.
Chop up.
I think
What
it's a
is-
good starting area. I'm sorry.
No, no, go ahead.
I think it's a good starting point, only to allow us on the board to have a point to where we should say, well, you can't even see that as a view shed, so let's just clear that off. You're not gonna have a problem with that property. So there's a lot of property there that there's no view shed issues.
To
If
the
somebody
lake,
came up and did that.
to the lake,
Yeah,
right? So,
Do you
but
think it's conservative enough that it puts the burden on the applicant to prove that it's not in the view shed? And if-
Yes.
Yeah.
If an applicant can come in and show that, okay, if we say you're in the purple area, you gotta comply with the overlay.
yeah.
But if you feel you're not within the view shed of the lake, then you've got to prove it to us.
I would say that's what we need to do.
And then similarly, it puts the burden on the planning board to make that call. As it's written, it gives a lot of discretion to the team here to say, oh, okay, you're good. Go
Yeah,
forward.
I-
And then that's,
In the ordinance committee, the discussion was, we don't have a metric to measure what we consider the view shed. So they referred to this thing that was done, this plan that was done, I guess, Chris Jensen was involved somehow.
Not
Yeah,
with this.
didn't they put the boat in the lake?
I
and-
don't think it was this map, but
Oh, okay.
there's other.
Anyway,
Did they?
this
Put my
lake,
drone
this
up, we
lake,
can't see
this map was a starting point. Say at least if we feel it's conservative enough that any development that would occur within it, if it's not in the view shed, they have to prove that it's not. And, but then, okay, that's the map, and the credibility of the map is certainly something that's questionable. In terms of.
Then you're gonna have to maintain, someone's gonna have to maintain that map, but what, yearly and twice?
Well, that's it. Chuck and I talked about
biannually?
this today in terms of
This is gonna change.
enforcement in our department which actually segues to what you said. What if, there's a tenth of your acre of your property has purple on it?
And the
If
rest
this
of
little
it,
guy here,
yeah.
what? Is it the onus then on the applicant to say, well, yeah, I do have some purple, but you can't see me. And that's, I think the intent too was to give the planning board that discretion. Give you more. Well, I wouldn't say it's a tool, but
Yeah, well, it's a tool. Well, let's go back to the premise or to the principle of all subdivisions can be no smaller than 1 acre. I mean, how do you guys feel about that? I mean, that is a big,
That's huge,
that's a
yeah.
big chunk of consideration here. I mean, and the discussion was, some of the members of the ordinance committee felt that within this view shed area, there should not be multifamily or high-density development. And
This sounds like a
there's
discussion.
a specific application they were referring to.
Yes, I know.
Uh,
I wonder if they're reacting, right?
Right.
Are they reacting to a current application before us?
I don't
Yeah.
know, because this has been looked at since 2017. It's been
Okay.
revisited, it's been scaled back, it's been rewritten,
Hmm.
and now it's been, kind of taken 7 to 8, 10 pages down to 2.
Yeah, the original,
The
7 or 8
original,
pages. was-
yeah.
Boy, you talk about details and trying to
It
figure
was
it
a
out.
nightmare.
And Doug came up with this strip and it's,
What do you think?
Pretty
Chuck?
basic.
Like, what are your thoughts? When you sit on the ordinance committee, right? Like,
Yeah.
So what do you think?
well, I think, again, it started with protecting the view sheds, okay? And coming up with regulations as to how we as a town, we as a planning board can control any development so that we don't wind up with these scars on the hillsides, okay? So, but then it evolved to a couple members of the ordinance committee feeling that the density, it should be low density within this area. It should be 1 acre lots and that's it. And it was a radical change from what we were talking about originally. So I'm still somewhat in awe in the way the thing turned. Because there was that one meeting, the ordinance committee, all of a sudden this thing flipped from trying to control the view of the hillsides to densities of 1 acre and larger.
Good luck.
May
I-
I ask Shauna if you have I don't have it in my notes here, but the objectives or the key focus points of like the next year ahead, do any of those align with the intent of the law? And not thinking about the 1 acre and that, but does the intent of the protection of the natural resources, does that align with our short-term and long-term objectives? And I think the answer is yes,
It
as
is
I say
yes.
it out loud.
That was brought up by the advocates of
Yes.
this ordinance.
Yeah.
Yes, okay,
Yeah.
but
they
it's
were
just
very-
the nuances of it that were,
And
I
and the
think we're all
town is
feeling
trying to
kind of-
direct higher density to the north end of town. And we're trying
Yep.
to, protect the hillsides and of high density. That's not where it belongs. It belongs uptown.
Well, like, I guess that's when I first look at this, I think to myself, hold on a second. All of this area down here in the RR3, right,
Yeah.
which is basically all of this is 3 acre lot minimum anyway.
Right.
So it's all 3, you know what I mean? Like, so now it's all 3 acre lot minimum anyway.
Well, they want to
so the ones
subdivide.
actually changing
So,
are the ones that,
Make it subdivided.
So we're saying is
People
if
can
somebody wants to
subdivide.
come in and subdivide, now they can only subdivide it into 3 1 acre lots. That's all they can do now if we pass this.
right, but what I'm
Right.
saying is that in the RR3 rural
1 acre
residential
lots aren't even.
They're not even allowed
It's
Right.
3 acre lots.
right now,
Well,
It's
unless
3
they
acre
do a
lot.
conservation
subdivision.
They can-
Right,
Yeah,
right.
which
So you could do that.
you could
With
do
1
that
acre
with
lots.
1 acre
1
lots,
acre
so you'd have
lots.
probably break a 3 acre lot into 2 houses,
Um,
2 1 acre and the rest
Yeah.
conservation, I guess.
There's no utilities down there. There's, I guess, I feel like.
Is this sort of in line, Ryan, with your concern about the creeping higher densities into would this sort of forgo that to some degree? At least within the purple areas.
I don't know. I think that there's 100 ways to skin a cat, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if this is the way to do it. I think that you're gonna make all of these people, all this investment in our town. We have over $1 billion of assessed value in our community. And a significant amount of it is right along the lake shore
Oh,
here.
you, that's where all.
And we're gonna put this rule on them. Like that, I just feel like this is gonna really make. This is gonna make doing good things very, very unpopular. And I feel like the tone of this is just maybe you're picking up on this in that meeting, like, I don't know, man. I think. it
Well,
makes
good
sense.
case study.
Along the lake now, I mean,
A
along
good
the lake
case
now,
study would be look
Jordan
at
is
RSM.
all small.
RSM is in the purple area.
Yeah.
So if they came back, once this was adopted, this overlay was applied, they would, it'd be 1 acre lots. That'd be
That's all they could do, right?
all they could do.
Single family, 1 acre lot.
Single
Yeah,
family
that's
one.
the other provision. That's
Yeah.
also.
So I'll have to be single family.
No, I guess, I don't know, for some reason, something in my brain just tells me,
And make that project.
my intuition is just, that this is not gonna go anywhere. But I don't know that.
I don't-
I really don't.
Yeah,
know.
I have the same question. I don't know how the people in the RLD are gonna react to this. It's either, I can't do anything with my property now, I can't subdivide it, or,
Well, I'm,
boy, I'm glad I'm here.
I'm
and
glad I
nobody
got
else-
it because,
Nobody else can get in.
Yeah.
And
How many?
well, how many
properties?
lots right now
That's
on the
what I was
RLD
wondering.
are
Yeah.
over 1 acre?
Not many.
I don't have hardly any.
Yeah.
And that would be
Many.
interesting to, that would be
That was my
interesting to look
question.
at.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
thinking, the whole RLD, there's nothing over 1 acre now to begin with. Unless it's long, like the one,
Oh,
the
yeah.
the-
John
the-
Case or,
Yeah.
what's his name?
Casey,
Or that
Well,
extend from.
but
Casey's
it's-
got 51
50 acres, yeah.
but it goes, yeah, it goes back.
Up the hill.
Yeah, there's a bunch of those. Marty Mewes is a huge, big thing, he goes back. And then the one across that we just approved
Yeah.
a little while ago, where they put those houses down, I can't remember that guy's name. His is long, big, but he's putting a house at the other end, right by the lake.
His property.
Who's that?
Wife, Jeremy's Fields, Whitehall's. Little Cheshire.
Yeah.
So. very few.
Well, that was the other thing that
Yeah, Middle
It-
Cheshire.
it
no,
seemed
well,
awfully-
Some of it would be.
A few.
restricted to me too. The other thing was of what you can do, a single family house, a single family with an attached apartment or a park and,
Public
or
safety.
some public safety.
Mhm.
That's it?
That's what you- yeah.
That's basically what we allow in RLD.
Well, so like Jeremy Fields, who has bought the lot behind me, right behind me. That he hasn't come in yet, but the concept is there's gonna be a little golf course, executive golf course and stuff like that. He wouldn't be able to put a golf course there, right? He can only put houses? I don't think that's right.
Depending on how much, well, here's the enforcement.
Not
part.
that I wanna.
How much of his property.
But I'd rather have a golf course than a bunch of
You
houses.
can't see
Golf
the
course
lake
might look
from
nice.
No, you can't.
So then what
So-
does that mean?
Is that the vista that?
Right.
I mean, I get the lake is the vista, but as referenced earlier, that's not the only vista.
Right,
Right,
so if we do
Ridgeline.
this, then the next one's gonna come in a year from now, it's, oh, now I want these other vistas to be protected too.
Right.
That's what we set precedent. I
You
don't
may
know.
not be, the majority is, may not be in it.
No, I think there's just a little snip of it.
Yeah. He's right behind Whitehall's. And they can't see your development, Gary, but I think it's in.
Oh, I saw it, yeah.
Obviously, it's in the purple there.
Yeah, ours is in
Does
purple.
it just follow?
No, it doesn't. So you half the property's in blue purple and the other half's not. So what do you,
Well,
what do you do with
The
that?
thing in the purple, you can't see the property.
I guess
I found ours here somewhere. I had to blow it up.
part of my philosophy is I'm kind of concerned that it puts all this onus on the planning board.
Mhm.
Oh, it does.
It
I agree.
does.
Here it is right here.
Yeah. And then we're just
Why
dealing
doesn't the
with,
town board take responsibility for that?
Yeah,
we're
that
getting
little.
it slung at us.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I got
In
you.
there.
Yeah,
And I
you're in
just
it.
feel like that's,
So this purple, with this big.
no,
So we should
Half
go
of that.
zoning
Is-
board.
is
less
it
government,
this,
sometimes I
that-
like less
that's Jerry's,
government.
right?
I feel like this is a lot of government.
Diagonal.
So you would
We
just
should
see
be
the
incentivized.
eastern
This
fringe
part.
of
The
his.
meetings are going to
Yeah.
be 18 hours long.
But if you're gonna put anything there, that's where you're gonna wanna put it. probably.
Exaggeration, but
I mean,
So that-
I kind of,
maybe 17.
to answer your question, like, I feel like if we're gonna encourage people to have development, right, at the north part of the lake, then I think we should be encouraging that. Like incentivizing, like, how do we incentivize that? Like, if we want, so one strategy would be if we were to take these lands and instead of saying, here's what you can't, here's what you can, instead of regulating them, those parcels could be part of a transfer of development rights. So these parcels would have X amount of value that somebody could go and purchase the development rights from and apply them and incentivize in a uptown area. Do you know what I mean? Like, so those, it just seems like putting all this power into the planning board. I just feel like that's an overreach of government, but I'm certainly in the minority, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't know. I think it's a good attempt, but I don't know if it's, I guess if it was to pass, if the town board would pass it, I'd be strikingly surprised. And I think that we could handle it. I think that we could handle it, but I also don't like the idea of making an applicant say that the onus is then on the applicant to say, okay, you have to prove to us that it's not. Like, that sucks. That's not cool, government. That's not cool. You know what I mean? Like, why are we gonna put rules on landowners and say you have to do that? I'm not comfortable with that because your property's in it, right? So how does that make you feel? You know what I mean? Like,
Well,
how
my
would you,
taxes don't go up.
you
But
know?
yeah, I mean, my property is in it, but I have 5 acres, so I'm not gonna subdivide, but I know where you're saying it, Ryan. I think by having these mandates down, that a builder is gonna come in and say, well, here's these mandates. I need to go through all these, and they may not do it.
Yeah, he won't, yeah,
He may not do it. He may not even go through all that problem. But if he really wants to, he's gonna go through it, and it's gonna be a good thing in the long run for the properties. So I think because we have good rules like this, that it will filter out the people that just want to do nothing, do something that's not nice for the community. So I can see it both ways.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm kind of,
I guess procedurally, the way this would occur would be an applicant comes in, goes to the development office, says, I want to subdivide this property. Sean and Chris and the team look at all regulations and tell them what the zoning is, but they look at this, if it's close to this SVO, they say, oh, it looks like you're in it, so therefore you have to develop it as a 1 acre minimum.
Residential.
Yep, residential 1 acre. Oh, you can't see that thing from the lake, Okay. You have to go prove it to the planning board. I guess that's the way we proceed. That's the way.
I would think step one would be that dialogue with you guys after that's been determined, because otherwise they're not gonna want to spend the money on the engineering and all the background to get all this
proof.
data to come in just to be denied right
They
off
have
the
to
bat.
tell them if
Right.
they're in or
I
out.
feel like that interaction, if it does truly come down to the plan board's decision, then they would need to provide all their eggs into providing that information, whatever that information is, to determine whether or not this is a scenic vista that needs protected or not. Once they get that compliance, then finish your application and invest the time and money into it.
Yep.
So it could be fairly lengthy, depending upon how
Yep.
they go through that process. Maybe it's a simple one, but I'm gonna guess that any property in that purple is probably not a simple process.
Well, I'll go back to what we originally said here too, the validity of this map
I would agree.
is, and that's, and every, at least 2 years, it's gonna change. Trees grow. People do some other things, logging, whatever they might want to do, get rid of trees, vegetation, do this and that. Every 2 years, this is gonna change. All of a sudden, somebody's property's in it, and then it's gone. The others are not there, and now it's in. How do you maintain that?
see, I think
That's
I
huge.
could speak to that. And
Okay.
so there's a highly sophisticated software that takes in all the topography, only topography,
Mhm.
and draws these contours. And then they take the contour of the lake, probably I would assume the mean level, mean high water mark. I could be wrong, you know what I mean? Like, you can actually perform this analysis. And what this is showing, and I could be wrong, but I bet Labella could tell us, is that they took a view shed from the lake elevation somewhere. They drew a line someplace and said, okay, any place that's visible looking up from that elevation that meets the topography, not the vegetation.
Yeah,
You know what I
they did ridge.
Yeah,
they did
because,
ridge
I
line
mean,
down.
my
Yeah.
property
The highest
itself,
peak down. Because, the property, once it gets developed, they're gonna clear cut the trees, now they got a view.
Now you would
Scenic
see it.
West, Right, so
So I think it's all based on
Just
the
elevation.
topography and elevation.
it's gotta be.
that's why I was asking.
Because
if
from
you-
my property itself, I mean, I look out on the lake, but if there's if you're coming right, I say close, but you're coming on the west side, just, I don't see I can only see from the middle of the lake to the east side, I can see that far. Because I got trees and I got some other houses in the way, and that's what our shoreline guidance is trying to
I'm
protect
on
too.
there kind of,
Is
yeah.
have some trees and stuff
I'm
like
not,
that, so
I
you
can't.
can't, so you can see the lake,
I'm
but
on
you
my
don't have a
driveway. and then
beautiful.
On the road, I can see the lake in November.
In
But-
November,
Yeah,
right.
in
I can see a lot of the lake now that I couldn't see a couple months ago too. Right.
But I'm okay with it because my house ain't on, so I'm
When it's all said and done, I'm good.
fine.
Subdivide the yards.
It's not a bad idea.
So could we,
Oh, it's hard.
is the town board seeking recommendations or input from the planning board on this? And if so, could we recommend or ask for a reassessment of that map and what's purple versus not?
You can request really anything, if they are looking for something from this board.
What's the timeframe, Sean, on that turnaround?
Well, they are, this is on the agenda for the 15th, next Monday,
For a hearing,
for the public hearing.
yeah, whether they act on it or not.
That'd be an interesting one to go to.
To pick up where, what you said, Amanda, I think just, our comment would be the credibility of this map, how accurate it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that would be a concern.
Yep.
If we want to include, is it subject to change over
Mhm.
time?
Mhm.
That would be certainly included. And then I guess the other big nut is, how do you feel about 1 acre, being so low density in whatever area we come up with?
I kind of think that 1 acre lots in the RL3 is high density.
So you're right. Anything where the R3 is down is really, it doesn't really affect any of this area.
Yeah, I guess my first comment, so I'm supportive of the idea, obviously, but I feel like just 1 by 1, right? If we go with number 1, density and minimum lot size, shall not result in a lot size smaller than 1 acre or the underlying zoning. You know what I mean? Like, why would we want to encourage people to have smaller than 3 acres in their RR3? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's almost encouraging it, but because if it doesn't allow conservation subdivisions,
Well, if
or it kind of does.
applicability says,
With that minimum.
yeah, the
With that
minimum, the more restrictive provision applies. So R3, it's never gonna be 1, it's gonna be 3.
Oh, is that what the last comment means in that last?
Restricted.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, more restricted.
Yeah.
E2.
No, or C, no, if you look at
No.
C provision for applicability, all
Applicability.
provisions of the underlay district shall be applied except where provisions of the SBO district differ. In such cases, the more restrictive provision.
So what does that mean? More,
That
Yeah,
is-
so that's-
yes.
RR3 then would be
more restricted.
more restrictive,
Okay, I guess.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's minimum lot size is 3
But you
3
can,
acres. That would be
right,
more
more
restricted
restrictive
than
than
1.
1, right.
Okay.
So
Just
that's,
like it's setbacks, if they've got a greater setback would be the ones.
The
we
ones
have to
that are
do
more
to as opposed to-
extensive, yeah. So it's not, we're not changing the zoning to 1 acre. If
Okay.
That,
Yeah, because that's what I read when I first read density D1. I was like, oh my gosh. I
but it
guess-
will affect RLD, it will, RLD for
That
certain,
definitely looks like it would.
but then again, I go back to the RLD, how many,
and what's
how
not.
many lots do we have that are over 1 acre right now in the RLD?
That are buildable.
Yeah, that,
Right, right.
You
I
gotta-
wouldn't be claiming pre-existing.
You're gonna be involved in a lot of ZBA applications.
Yeah.
And if someone wants to subdivide less than 1 acre, could they go to the ZBA and get approval?
I was gonna ask that question.
Then it wouldn't come to us until the ZBA gives its blessing.
So the question is, if it's in the scenic vista and they don't want to comply, how do they gotta get a variance? I would assume,
An area things. Yeah.
It would be from a code, right? That's
It
the
would,
requirement
because
to
it would
require them to
be-
go. But I would assume in this particular case, the variance would come back to you guys for a recommendation referral, being that you're the judgment board
Oh,
over the seating Vesta, not the
Yeah.
ZBA.
so it's just,
Yeah, I mean,
Ping
because
pong ball.
it requires your
Mhm.
input, right,
Yeah.
to determine that.
So would-
ZBA doesn't deal with that aspect.
yeah,
So it may require the ZBA to grant a variance, but they won't be able to do it without your input, I'm guessing.
so that just extends.
So the
And if it's,
enforcement.
I'm sorry, and if it's not a variance, then it would be a waiver, not a waiver would come from you guys. I don't know which one it is.
I think your comments should include that it's gonna create a lot of non-conforming lots. Obviously, in the RLD.
Oh, will.
And I just see another east side of the lake, like Upper Beach and all that. Remember all those small lots over there that just every time you wanted to do something, that you had a deck under your house, you had to go through a variance.
Mhm.
Because they won't conform to, how about the other dimensional? It's 1 acre lots, but how about side yards, front yard setbacks?
They change-
That
Building
wasn't
height,
mentioned at all, was it?
That wasn't mentioned.
I think so.
Side setbacks,
Side yards,
Side,
front yards,
front.
rear yards,
it says the more restrictive.
but all it says is you can't be
Right,
less
so
than
we
1
use the
acre.
underlying zones.
Whatever the
setback
most restrictive
requirements.
setback requirements are out of the two. But you're saying there isn't really any references.
You wouldn't want a 1 acre lot with an RLD setback.
Right,
requirements.
that's right.
So they almost have to include in this what
Some
the setbacks
Statutory requirements for this
you
scenario.
normally have in a residential lot. John, are you getting all this? Because I think what we're gonna tell the, Shauna to tell the town board is just read our minutes. Essentially, I mean,
Yeah.
that'll be our input. You know,
You'd like them to review the discussion.
there is property.
Always,
yes,
all the time, like every meeting they should.
Well, they want these,
The
John,
one below you
Oh.
guys,
could you have the draft?
Yeah.
oh, he usually has
That's
it
not
done by the end
there.
of the week.
or right here.
But like, how do you guys feel about all of
that's
the
the,
owners
uh,
coming onto the planning board?
Is that the RSM stuff?
I don't think it's an issue.
You know,
But that's,
I sort of look at it like the.
So this is,
shoreline
yeah,
guide.
this is not developed yet. That's right.
Yeah.
There's
Gives
nothing
us-
in that, right? That's the RSM
Gives us some flexibility.
stuff.
Yeah,
If that's just one big thing. then-
I would feel more comfortable if this board, if we actually had a detailed response
few others.
tonight for me to
Okay.
give to the town board.
how do you want us to go
Or
through
Westbrook,
that?
he's coming in with his thing to subdivide it.
Like line by line, Chuck, like, I mean, what's
Nah.
the, because we already have a couple comments.
I
right?
have, yeah, if you want
Non-conforming.
just the height, like Lance and I were just saying,
credibility of the
the
map,
credibility of the map, one.
potential for revision of the map.
Subject, I have subject to change over time.
Right?
Is it subject to change over time?
Yeah, How
Is
does that
it?
process work?
Right.
How does that work?
Procedurally, what's the procedural requirements? for
Updating.
going to, like, do they come to you guys first?
Yes.
And if this board says no, do they then apply for a variance? Why would the ZBA overrule the planning board on that? I don't know why that would occur, so I think that element has to be ironed out. Maybe it's in there, and I apologize if I missed it, but that, I would think that procedure.
No, it wasn't in there.
Would be,
Not in there.
So, yeah, statutory, maybe you and I can figure this out.
Yeah.
Non-conforming lots created,
Yeah,
Many-
proliferation of non-conforming lots.
uh,
Setbacks.
The lot.
I've got the, right, the setbacks.
Setbacks.
the zoning criteria associated with creating a line this size, what are the setbacks and so.
How often will the map be redone?
Yep, she's got that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
got it.
I think that's part of her number, or
That's
number.
number,
two.
2. I've got 5.
And then I mentioned, I think the permitted uses are too narrow. I think you can do more than, I mean, if somebody wanted to use it for agriculture, we're saying, no, they
One
can't.
could argue a golf
Come on,
course is
come on,
considered a
just-
scenic vista.
If somebody wanted to, put a horse barn up there and graze some horses or something like that, we're saying, no, it can only be a single family home, or I think that's too restrictive.
That's a remarkable idea, what you just said. That is a remark. Why don't we allow agriculture?
Yeah, we can't. It says no, only a park, a single thing, you know, come on.
I think if they're doing ag uses, I think they're automatically
They're not-
allowed, like, we can't regulate that
Right.
regardless.
Okay, so
Well, not say, it doesn't say that though.
yeah, well, so site development standards, D. To the extent possible, comma, any subdivision of land in the SVO shall not create any new lot. To the extent possible, the planning board of the town shall be authorized to grant subdivision and development of land, provided the following standards have been met. So I think it assumes, Gary, because that's a really good point. Like, I think that this law assumes if it's going to be developed and subdivided.
Yes.
What did Chris think of this law? When he read this?
I can't speak to for that.
That would be
Yeah.
a remarkable conversation to have. Honest to God, but right? Isn't
Yeah.
that, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, there.
right, like, I would really love to get his input on, like, what does,
Would you like that?
Is it
as-
legal? Is this,
is,
is what we're doing here legal? Is it,
yeah.
is it?
You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're gonna have
Confiscation with a compensation? I don't,
27 court judgments against us, and here we do this.
Because I think it's, I applaud that we are trying to do something. Like, I think that's good. I want to capture that. Right? Can we at least say that we appreciate the town board is, that can that be part of our remarks? Sean?
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
That we
Why don't I start
appreciate,
with that?
That's a good
Yes.
point.
you know what I mean? Like, we appreciate this moving forward. Like, that's good.
So you appreciate the concept
Yes. Right? Like, that's,
and moving this forward.
I think we all had the frustration of Canandaigua Shores of saying, boy, it's up on the hill, we gotta look at, it. How do we restrict
Yeah.
this thing? So that's sort of, the driving force
Yeah, when you
behind
go
this thing,
down the
although,
lake-
as Sean said, it's been in the works for a number of years, but they just haven't been able
But you've
to.
had applications that come in to help.
It's like
facilitate
it's
the
like
Yeah.
It's hard to
It's
do
like a
that.
greased pig.
Yeah, we're getting, yeah.
Well, I
can't
think
do
it
it.
gets to the
Well,
point.
there's so much
this
land that's
point,
not
how do
available
you
anymore.
enforce
All of a
it?
sudden,
That's
somebody
where
sees
it's gotten
something, they
every
wanna
time.
Well, I
make
mean,
money and put a ton of houses on there to have Lakeview.
not to make it any.
But
more
as you go down the
complicated.
lake, what's the big eyesore right now is the big apartment complexes down there in Bristol. And it's like, we don't want that anymore. We don't want to see more of those.
This thing started out with ridge lines.
that's what I'm.
Yeah,
Well, that's
okay.
what you were saying.
That's what my
It got
point
pushed
was.
Yeah,
out.
well, then
Like,
it got
where's the
so
ridge
complicated.
lights?
It's
well,
too hard.
It was,
Too hard
okay,
to
what's the
regulate.
ridge line? Anytime you can.
Subjective.
You can see the horizon on the other side of it, so you can
Yeah.
drive all over this town and see all kinds of ridge lines. And again, coming up with a metrical,
Metrics.
map. that
Okay.
Somehow defines where the ridge lines are.
Thank you, Chuck, because this was
Yeah,
just
ridge
ridge lines before.
Yep.
And it didn't include all these properties along the lake,
No,
right?
it did.
It was just
Okay.
ridge lines. And that's the ecological benefit in my brain. Like, that was the ecological, okay, I can get that, right? Like, there was an ecological component of trying to help the ecosystem for watershed maintenance, right? And so that's where I'm just trying to understand, okay, I'm all for the ecological benefits to the lake, right? But my gosh, now we are talking about including all these parcels that I don't know if we would get any ecological benefit to the lake from those parcels. Like, what in ridge lines, I thought we did, like, there was content.
But then it sort of evolved into more than just ridge lines. We want to, we don't want any more fox ridges. We don't want any more
Ugliness.
Lakewood meadows,
Right.
On the hillside. So then it was, they're
It
below the
got
ridge line.
separated, ridge lines and view sheds.
So then it got into view sheds. And
Yeah,
then they said,
yeah.
well, at least we got a map with view sheds. We can,
Let's use that.
we can start with that.
Yes.
And
That makes sense to me.
so that's,
But I think.
and it
there's-
was said at the ordinance committee that we will move on to ridge lines. I think
Yes,
Terry
ridge
said, like,
lines, and there is a place in our code, town code for that, ridge line guidelines.
Guidelines, yeah.
Yeah,
Because that's another component, right? Like, there's a couple other components to this. Where it's open space, conservation, and scenic views, right? Like, there's a couple other components there. So this is a nice small component. That's why I applaud that we're trying to do something. I hope it doesn't create animosity towards the whole culture of trying to do something good for the town. But yeah, we'll see how that rolls.
Were notifications sent out for the hearing to all the property owners? And
Yeah.
Gary didn't get his.
No, I didn't
I didn't get mine.
You
No.
didn't get yours?
No, you did ours.
I'm right on the edge.
It's
I'm right on the edge.
It's too bad that I feel that this is gonna be BAD for our town. And that's the unfortunate part. Like, I really feel like it's. This is.
Well, anybody else have anything else to, that's one for the time being? I don't think this thing's gonna happen, come down on next week. I mean, they'll certainly take testimony and the town board will discuss it, but I don't see it.
They're
Being
just opening
adopted.
the public hearing, so.
It's too radical to just have a public hearing and pass it.
Oh, yeah.
So, all right, very good.
Thank you for your insight.
All right.
Alrighty. Nothing from the ZBA. Okay, we've got an email from Chris Jensen. Hopefully you all saw it.
Yeah.
Regarding the storage facility out in County 10. And it's such a simple question he's asking. I'll defer to Ryan as to his responses to.
I almost remember having the conversation about salt with,
Yeah, those,
on County Road
I
10
have them.
yeah.
specifically. And so can you pull the plan up? Can you pull the, I'm sorry, I didn't really look at the plan. From the
But I don't know
landscape.
if Michelle put the plan up,
I've been
the
bugging
landscape plan.
code enforcement to get the buffering that was supposed to be put in there. And I guess I
What
finally,
would I be looking for?
Chris and Dale got
It's
on.
not there. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not.
there's nothing
There's
there.
nothing there. This plan is not there. You'd have to go back to the archive. somehow.
So, but what did they want to switch?
They had little, were they spruce or,
And there's some
Yeah.
spruce trees that are required. in-
they were little blue spruces, they were gonna
Yeah.
grow, and they wanna put in, instead they wanna put red
White.
cypress or white cypress
Or
or
something
some,
like that because of salt.
some cypress.
Salt tolerant, yeah.
Yeah,
Because they point to the Sutter.
which is just north of them, and they've been trying for years,
This is the third round of trees. they're
putting them in and they're not,
Sutter.
yeah, and they're not growing.
Well,
So I was kinda like, it sounds good to me.
so
I remember saying, man, don't spend a lot of money on trees. Buy seedlings and put
Well,
hundreds
that
of
was,
them
yeah, that was gonna go on.
Remember
on the side, right on the
Yep,
north side.
Yep.
Did that work out for them?
I don't think they put them in yet.
So I've never seen them.
I haven't seen that. We haven't seen the evergreens across the frontage, which they want to substitute. And at the entrance, it was a landscape area and it had some
Yeah,
shrubs and
shrubs.
stuff like that, and that hasn't shown up yet either, so. But at least regarding the evergreens across the
Can't
front,
remember any of this.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
you okay with?
Do you want them to come back?
Just can
For the
toss us a
planning board.
sketch plan. Like, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, give us something to look at.
If you want to change an approved plan, give us something.
Give us something to look
Yes.
at and approve.
Okay.
There's all
Doesn't
kinds
have
of
to be,
stuff.
you're not asking an engineer, please be clear, conceptual, just provide
Just
something.
Take
Yeah,
take
sure.
their approval
Yeah.
of their plan and.
Yeah, we've done that in many other houses.
That's
just what
true.
They want to change.
That's true.
But part of the issue here is gonna be that, you know, I mean, many properties, you know, I'm not jabbing at the town, but we just saw the last applicant, it took a long time to do their landscaping too before we could see it. You know what I mean? Like they're given a lot of leeway with installing.
They
their-
are,
You know what I mean? So,
do we, in the past, timeframes, do we give them for their planting plan to start?
This-
I assume they don't get their C of O
This
until
board-
they've done their
but-
landscape.
but we can-
That's not happened.
Right, I was under the impression that C of Os wouldn't be issued until landscaping is, but here's where the issue runs into play, we see it across the board.
That
They
winter,
finish in
when-
December.
December, you
They
can't
want their
plant.
C of O, do we hold them up until April to get their plantings in?
Yeah.
So
Right, I know.
what I have seen some communities do
Temporary?
is
I didn't know about
they put a time frame that says,
Just made
okay, it must be prior to issuance of C of O or by no later than May 1st, of the following year.
Well,
whatever.
hold back money. They put in,
Well,
hold
their
back their
surety?
sureties or
That's
something.
the other thing.
Hold
Most
it
of
back.
them-
Don't get.
Most of them, we get a soil erosion control.
Yep, hold that.
Surety, soil erosion control, just being
Yeah.
clear. Landscaping ones, we do get on
Big
ones
projects.
where you have specific requirements for the applicant to provide X number of tree to protect the stream, the scenic view, or it's a commercial property. Not every residential property, and I'm not saying this is, but not every residential property is required to get a landscaping. tree
Right.
because it's a-
Well, for shoreline guidelines, they should be. To make sure they're in.
Yeah, we're-
To a shoreline guideline.
Complying with shoreline
Right, right, so
guidelines.
in
you can-
instances
That's usually
where,
with
in
COs.
instances where we've
And this was
required
a,
that,
and this was a
those
commercial
landscaping trees
property. so they
usually
had to do
are
that.
in the surety.
Yeah.
100%. But there's sometimes where we have a landscaping plan and like, not a big deal. It's a residential property, we're not gonna regulate.
Yeah,
that.
so where's this house just now?
But
Right,
they don't plant
right.
them and then I don't think this is what we're talking about. but-
No.
Right.
But the way I've seen it done is, we specifically now add a condition that says prior to issuance of C of O or by no later than May of the following year. If that's the date.
Okay.
That's what I've seen other communities do.
Mhm.
So, yeah, just tell them to get what they tend to substitute. on the
Okay.
Plan, show it. And we can also then put a little pressure on the other landscaping, because we've done that too.
If evergreens are dying with salt, why are we allowing it?
But that is a reason that we encourage people to hire professionals to put their landscaping plan together.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, there's reasons that people go to school for that, and they learn about these things, and then you should hire them people, so you don't waste money, thousands of dollars on trees. I mean, it's not just, here I am talking about less government, but there's a function to hiring landscape architects. I mean, you have to have a stamp and they're gonna
Yep.
go through schooling, and
Right.
we've been trying to push that for a long time on the board, like, go,
No,
if
but
you don't
most
wanna lose.
landscaping companies will
I feel bad. I
provide
just
a
put in.
2-year guarantee on every planting.
Yeah.
Trees
I've
either
got
age
3 I
or
put
die really
in,
fast and
but they're not
therefore
near a road.
Yeah,
guaranteed.
One of them's doing really well.
I think Sutter, he's been getting it on the warranty.
Well, yeah,
He's
they're
getting them
dying.
replaced,
Yeah.
Because they died in the year.
So I would think the landscaping company at this point would be like, hey, listen, we're not
Right.
planting any more trees. It's gotta be this kind.
Right.
But then Sutter's gonna
Something
hold
that's
back
gonna
the
survive.
town because we said, because the plan was blue
Right,
spruce.
so that's,
And therefore, the town told me I had to do this. So now we're in a
I
catch
see it all the
22.
time.
They can't fix it because we told them to do it, but the only reason we told them to do it is that's what they proposed.
Right.
We approved it. So what's the
That's
difference? Ah,
That Aurora Solar, I think they had agreed that.
A lot of solar companies, projects are being
Why?
required.
Because they're going.
Well,
Because they're year round, green year, they
Yeah, you want
provide
some
protection
evergreen
year
that,
round.
We got
something.
into put it between the road and the fence, or the fence and the road.
Oh, right, right, right.
Yep.
And it was evergreens. I don't remember what species.
Yeah.
It
It'll
was
probably be the
8
same
8
issue
foot
there.
high. everything.
I'm looking
They were
at a
beautiful.
whole bunch of these trees right here.
Yeah.
These are all observed to have some salt tolerance, right? So
You
this
say
is,
salt tolerance?
yes, to
Yeah.
have some salt tolerance.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, there's trees out there, yes.
Are they ever, are they?
Are
You like
evergreens on
forsythias, you
there?
like forsythias?
Everbrown.
I tell everyone, grow forsythias right next to your street because they like salt.
And
You know what I
sun.
mean? And sun, you know what I mean? You get
They
like
grow
yellow flowers,
everywhere.
forsythias grow everywhere, yeah.
They're really hardy.
So there, I mean, I'm not even, so there is, it just takes a little bit of work, hiring the right person.
The infamous Everbrown.
And,
I mean, not everyone of us got one of these books, you know?
No,
Oh, you need.
Hey, how do I get one of
What
those?
is
call Cornell.
What's it
Call
called?
Cornell.
Urban trees?
Yeah, recommended urban
Urban
trees,
trees.
site assessment
I love that. I'm gonna-
and tree selection for stress tolerance.
Okay, well, next meeting or the meeting after, we'll look at a sketch of it.
All right,
We
Brian
got
can
no,
read to us.
no letters of credit,
no,
no bond releases, okay, no extensions.
We're done.
We're getting near the end of the year, folks, on training hours, so
I'm not gonna get mine done.
if you haven't done it.
You doing yours, Gary?
you're gonna get letters.
No, they're gonna have to fire me.
I was gonna say the same
I
thing.
have to find him, right?
Hey, I got half of it done, so I figured that's pretty good.
So I think.
I got your
Yeah, right.
I'm good.
I'm good.
Bob's definitely good. Amanda, are you close?
Well,
I'm trying to remember the
closer
last
than
spreadsheet.
probably last year. for 12 hours, but
Yeah,
yes.
that's true.
And right,
Doable,
so, and,
yes.
did you take that course you asked me about? No. Still zero. You gotta get a
You
nasty-
should wait till like.
Ryan is the teacher.
You'll get a nasty letter from Doug. Finch. Okay. See what you can do. All right, and this is the penultimate meeting for Gary, and
It is.
the final meeting is the 23rd. I think you're gonna be.
I will be here.
You will be?
I will be
Okay.
here, yeah.
We got a full agenda.
Yep, I'm gonna keep one bed mattress at the house. So I can just come in and sleep that night. and take off.
Stay at my house.
Get a hotel,
That's
dude.
it. Yeah, no. Well, my neighbor said I can stay with him too if I have to, so I'm here.
You can stay back in the.
It's,
There's a,
Yeah, the room back
the
there.
cot there, all right, good. No, I'm gonna come.
We
All
were
right.
gonna start,
It's
I
easier
haven't
than,
talked with you about this yet, but
doing
it's
this.
5:15, do a little thing for Gary.
Nah, you don't.
Yeah, well, I know we don't have to.
No,
We
no.
want to.
I'll bring you beer.
We should.
Just try.
Oh,
sorry,
sorry.
guys.
Just try it
We
once.
cannot operate till we're done tonight.
I purposely
Gary's
don't have
fault.
my,
Anything for you.
I don't have my wine. on me. All right, so we have one thing drop off your agenda tonight with Canada Shores. Have you got any revised plans from Thornton?
Remove. Oh, nothing.
Okay.
Nothing.
So Canada,
And he's
so back to
due-
Canandaigua Shores,
he's
if
gonna
we're not
be
gonna do that?
They're not gonna-
Tomorrow.
35 is coming off and they're gonna resubmit.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it.
Oh, yes.
ZBA
Throw away all the
works
pack-
on
pack like that.
Westbrook next week, right? That'll be
Yes.
interesting. Any,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Nadler and supporting my zoning determination.
he's supporting Chris Jensen's opinion that
Which is what?
Yeah.
that a driveway doesn't, or private,
Yes,
not
that
legal
is,
lots.
they're
They're
not legal
legal
lots, correct,
Yeah.
so he's got to get the variances.
yes,
Westbrook, you're saying?
Westbrook,
050?
yes, 050.
So that will come off.
No.
No. it
Oh, it's
couldn't.
pending.
between ours and
That's what
Corey, we're neighbors, yeah, there's a
Oh,
huge ravine,
Oh, yeah.
the ravine right
Yeah,
there.
Anything.
and who was it, John, you sent out the thing on Linda, the history of Aunt Linda? Did you send that out?
Oh, I did.
Oh, Bob did,
I
okay.
did.
Bob did, yeah.
Very,
Thank you,
very
Bob,
well
for
done, and
Oh, thank
read that over if
I didn't
we
see
have
that.
to
Huh?
act on that,
I
because
didn't see-
it's
did
it's
you
quite a
send it?
history.
I'll send it to you. I went back through all the history.
Oh, I didn't see it.
Many,
yet.
many times we said there's a problem there.
I know, we
Never.
have,
Yep.
I know, yeah.
Every time something got built, next time you gotta do something on that road, next time you
Yeah.
gotta.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
I went up
think
there and looked at
times
those,
now.
those
we're to the-
culverts are full.
They are.
They're like frog ponds up there now.
Mm-hmm,
There's no way water can run properly.
nope. I agree.
Okay, everything else is still good. Chris is okay with Finger Lakes Radio.
I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
they've
saw
got
that.
They had
so
some-
many violations.
We've seen that years ago,
Yeah,
though.
he built the building, he built,
No, they
You
never
saw,
built it.
they didn't build it.
No,
You
Oh,
didn't
that's
see
right.
it. He never built it.
well, we
Yeah,
did see something, from Finger Lakes.
yeah, because,
Oh, the parking lot.
yeah,
It will-
they were gonna put a pole barn in the back there for
Right.
storage.
That's what
Yeah.
you're, that's what's coming
Yep.
back.
Yeah,
And
is
then-
that similar to, I'm sorry, Ryan,
No, it's
similar
okay.
that the approval ran out? And they couldn't, right?
So
Same
same
project.
same concept? Yeah, we issues with that were with water drainage onto the other property.
Yeah.
Sewer connection. There was a
Well, there's
sewer
also an issue about the
between-
actual use. Oh, Creekview.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Creek
Yes,
Brook.
Creekview came in, they came in.
Yeah.
All right,
yeah.
Okay.
Knot Road, that's,
yeah, that's another lot in that little four lot subdivision.
oh, Foster Road, yeah.
Yeah.
There it goes.
Some landing and going. And,
A lot of stuff.
okay, so we'll be visiting the agenda, Gary, I'm glad you'll be
I will be here.
in
Yep.
person, that'd be great. Hopefully everyone else will be here. One meeting in December. You won't know. So anything else for the group? We are working on replacements.
Yeah, we had a-
So we had one interview and we'll have
Oh, good.
another one hopefully.
Good.
So maybe we can fill both the alternate and the
Good.
Gary. Ryan, do your thing.
Please, let's adjourn this meeting at 7:44 PM.
I'll second that. All in favor?
All right,
Hi.
Thanks, folks.
excellent. Thank you.